they feel like they're more moldable. Someone that has been out longer, there's hesitation because they don't know if they are going to adapt. Are they stuck in the mindset that they're thinking currently? Are they willing to change? How can they interact with a younger peer group? So those things do go into play. And I would say during the interview is the chance to really showcase that like you are adaptable. You are able to work with a younger generation, a different generation. So on the interview day is when you're going to really showcase that.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. We have a very special webinar today. I am privileged to have Dr. Richard Stewart, who's the Family Medicine Program Director at St. John's Episcopal, New York, join us today. He's a great guy, has been helping our students, especially when it comes to didactic sessions also. So we wanted to understand what are the common mistakes students make in the personal statement, in the CV? How can students select locations, geographical preferences? And then as a program director, especially drawing on the survey, the program director survey, what do program directors look for as they are selecting applicants for interviewing and then finally ranking them? So with that, it is my pleasure to welcome Dr. Stewart. Dr. Stewart, welcome, and we are glad you can make it here today.
Thank you for the invitation to join. I am glad to be here. It's been a pleasure working with your organization, the students that have come and rotated with me. I think we have had a number of great experiences. So I'm definitely appreciative of the opportunity and the collaboration.
Thank you, sir. So before we get started on the housekeeping front, his time is limited. We will take some questions that you may have already sent us, but after he leaves, I'll be able to answer questions as well. With that, let us get started. And by the way, those of you who are interested in didactic sessions with Dr. Stewart, my team, Sejal or Sonia in the back end, can send you the link to enroll as well. So Sejal, if you can send that link. So let's get started, Dr. Stewart. You've reviewed maybe thousands of personal statements from IMGs. What are some of the common mistakes, blunders that you've seen?
Personal statements is a major component of all applications. It's one of the things that a lot of people are looking at. But believe it or not, personal statements always are not always something so key to the actual selection process. Um, Now, I'm going to speak for my program and for my review first. Typically, I don't review the personal statement until they have been selected for the interview. I get close to 1,500 applications every year, so I can't read every personal statement. So I limit personal statements actually to people I have selected to interview based on other components of their application. So that's my personal stake on it. What I have learned over the years sitting with other program directors across the country is that if I'm sitting in a room with 30 different program directors, I'm going to get 30 different opinions about the personal statement. Everyone has their own outlook on what should entail in the personal statement and what is their feelings about how important it is in the application process. But the consensus that comes from it is make sure that anything that you include in the personal statement is honest. Um, I know that sometimes people have looked at items in personal statements and they have done their fact checking about things that were listed and they have found inaccuracies. And inaccuracies in your personal statement, especially if it comes to accomplishments, will have you weeded out of the selection process. So always make sure that anything that you include in the personal statement or your application in general is 100% accurate.
Okay. I think we just lost your voice. Can you repeat?
Oh,
Yeah, well, the last sentence.
The last sentence was basically just make sure that everything that you contain within your application is 100% accurate, because some programs will do their fact checking to make sure that um, everything is on the up and up, because they want to know first thing that you are a truthful person, because you're going to be dealing with precious information as you go through residency, and they want to know that you're going to be honest about everything and you can relay information in an honest fashion.
Okay. Okay. And what stands out for you once you read the personal statement? Anything that dazzles you, things that after reading the personal statement really impress a PD?
I know every application is not perfect. So if there are any red flags in your application, I like to see that someone actually addresses that concern within their personal statement up front. Um, if it's not addressed, I'm really hesitant to invite you for an interview because I don't know what's going on, and that red flag could have been something that swayed me not to invite you. So I'd rather know up front what the concern is and address it, and then give me the opportunity to fairly adjudicate what's going on. Um, Aside from that, I think one of the things typically we see in personal statements are there are several routes that are taken for personal statements. There's a route of there was this really sick patient that I saw, I took care of, I bonded with. They go into the statement of why I went into medicine, and those are okay. But when you use those routes, you got to really make it heartfelt, because if I'm seeing 1,500 applications, I'm getting 1,200 of those same similar stories. So, what makes your story that you're telling me stand out in comparison to everyone else's? I think like talking about your own personal motivation from a difficult experience, an obstacle, and how you navigated and how you learned from that situation, and how it's inspiring you, and what do you want to do with your degree and your after completion of residency really speaks more of your motivation and desire to learn, and how you're going to promote the betterment of mankind is an actually a stronger statement for me to read.
Okay. Uh, okay. Uh, Let me take a question as it is coming in on the screen. Uh, do you still consider step one? Now it's pass fail, but some of us took it for score. So a low step one score, do you still consider it as a red flag? If yes, should we tackle it in the personal statement?
I personally don't take it as a red flag. Um, I know there's everyone is not going to be the perfect applicant. And actually, I rather work with someone that has gone through some trials and tribulations, because it really shows me what they're made of, their resilience, their perseverance. Um, but if you do have that mishap, you should definitely address it in your personal statement. Um, Low score, pass, fail. The thing is just to pass. I know a lot of program directors, you will hear that they use filters and everything. Even with the filters, it does not totally eliminate your application. It just it just places it lower on the list. So they will see everyone that has met the filter criteria above the line, and then everyone else below the line. So we will still see everyone that did not meet the actual filter. It's just you won't be as high on the list. So, and there are times I still go to people that have not met filters, because, like I said, I'm looking for the holistic applicant.
Okay, thank you. Now let's switch gears and talk about ERAS CV. So, what are some of the do's and don'ts on the ERAS CV that you recommend?
The biggest thing that some people fail to realize is you want to make sure that there are no gaps in time. I do understand that life happens and you may not be doing something clinically, you may not be doing research at that time, but you want to explain what's going on from the time you finish medical school up until the time that you're applying. There should be no gaps in time.
I see.
Um, Gaps in time like makes us think that something's going on. Is there a red flag? Let me check the personal statement. Was it addressed? But there should be no gaps with any time frames, and you should make sure everything is truly listed. Um, I know a lot of students are doing a clinical experience within the United States to enhance their applications. Um, when we actually download your CV, if you have 15 clinical experiences in the US and you listed them separately, it really makes your application a lot longer. So instead of a 20-page application, now I'm looking at 40 pages. So if it's about me evaluating someone, like I rather look at 20 pages versus 40 pages. So if you have multiple clinical experiences and they're back to back, I would try to consolidate them.
Yeah. Okay. Um, a lot of IMGs may have switched specialties. So, in home country, they were maybe anesthesiologists, now trying family medicine or OB-GYN to family medicine. How do you typically look at it, or what do you want them to mention in their ERAS CV if such is the case?
If you're switching specialties, that is totally fine. People's interests do change, and it could because it was simply an interest change. In that regards, I would really say because family medicine, especially, is a specialty that encompasses all of the specialties. So you really want to say how your previous experience can connect to family medicine and how it will implement and accelerate and make you more of a desirable applicant as well, because you already have these other skill sets that you can bring in to the family medicine realm.
Okay. What exactly is a gap? There are a couple of questions. Is it sitting at home preparing for exams? Uh, is it non-clinical, maybe research experience is a gap? What do you consider a gap?
I have this conversation with one of my associate program directors on a regular basis. They really feel like sitting at home studying for an exam is a gap because once you start residency, exams do not stop. You don't have dedicated time to sit and study. You're coming to work in residency every day, you're going home to study, and then you still have to take exams. And it is challenging. So we want to know that you can handle the rigors, because if you are just sitting at home studying, um, we really wonder what's going to happen at the end of residency when you take your specialty boards. Are you going to be prepared, or are you going to have to take a not register and take it 6 months later? So that is one of the things that we really think about. Um, if you are going to sit at home and study, um, what that program associate program director is going to say is, you better have a top score. It should not be a barely passing score. You better have a very high score if you spent some time dedicated to studying. Aside from that, gaps, I mean, it could be anything. I graduate medical school in May. Um, I didn't match. So what am I doing? It took me 4 or 5 months to figure out what I was going to do. And then I had this clinical experience. I did some research, but a gap, you had a 4 or 5 month gap. Tell me what happened during that 4 or 5 month time. Talk about your um, seeking clarity, me trying to figure out what my next step was. Tell me something. Just don't let it be an empty time slot within the application.
Okay. So, related question, let's say someone has been clinically active but is an older graduate, 5, 7 years, 8 years. Uh, what are the reasons that programs tend to prefer recent graduates? I know not all programs are similar, but in general, programs tend to prefer recent graduates. Why is that?
The reason is simple. They feel like they're more moldable. Someone that has been out longer, there's hesitation because they don't know if they are going to adapt. Are they stuck in the mindset that they're thinking currently? Are they willing to change? How can they interact with a younger peer group? So those things do go into play. And I would say during the interview is the chance to really showcase that like you are adaptable, you are able to work with a younger generation, a different generation. So on the interview day is when you're going to really showcase that.
Okay. Let's switch gears because I'm seeing a lot of questions on the next topic, which is selecting locations to apply, geographic preference, signaling. What are your thoughts on signaling and geographic preferences?
I actually removed signaling from my application this year. I do not have signals
Ah,
because it is so very new, and I think they have not really come up with a true way for people to identify common threads and where they're signaling. I think signaling is just completely random at this point. So I removed it from what we're looking for at my program. A lot of people that I have talked to in family medicine have simply said that they realize that a majority of their applicants come from within 100 to 200 miles of their actual location. Now, if you don't physically live within 100 to 200 miles of that residency program, what are your close ties to that area? If you don't have close ties, if they find it really hard that someone's going to want to come to a place that they have no inkling of what's going on, they've never been there, they knew that people were just broadly applying. So you got to have some type of connection to the area. And it even goes so much, some people will look at your phone number area code to see what connections there are to it. Um, I've heard it. It happens.
uh, what are your thoughts on geographic signaling? Now you can you can pick the geographic regions also. Do program directors consider it?
So I don't. I have I have taken residents from all over. I have residents all the way from the West Coast, the East Coast, the Midwest, all over the United States and other countries. So I like to have a very diverse class. However, some residency programs do look for people that are only interested into urban areas. Some people are looking for people that are only interested to the South. Um, it does tell a lot about why they're choosing various geographic areas. And I think what really happens is they use it as a talking point during the interview as well to really try to understand why someone chose that location.
Okay. Uh, okay, so now let's move on to the published data, the NRMP data on program directors survey, considerations for interviewing. So I know we spoke about step one, pass fail, the CK score. So what are some of the considerations, especially for IMGs? Is it the months of US clinical experience? What else do you look for?
I personally don't look at the amount of US clinical experience. To me, I already know that even with US graduates, um, their clinical experience in medical school definitely can vary. I have worked with residents in the past that were did their clinical rotations in programs where they work with residents, and I've seen people that worked in programs where there were no residents, and the level of experience that comes in varies greatly. I always think that you finish medical school, you've achieved a lot in life. it's all about adaptability and willingness to learn. If you have that willingness to learn and you are able to self-reflect and be honest about where you are and where you want to be, that gives me a good indication of what kind of person you're going to be, what kind of resident you're going to be. So the amount of clinical experience to me does not matter. I feel like clinical experience for IMGs really comes into play when you look at programs that are very IMG dominant. And I think that they try to use that clinical experience to understand how much manpower, how much time will they have to invest in the person throughout residency. I really think that like when you try to find people that have tons of experience, I really worry about the clinical education that they're going to get during residency. They're not going to be taught as much. It's going to be more self-directed.
Okay. All right. So when it comes to finally ranking the applicants, right? The NRMP services, interpersonal skills, interactions during interviews. What do you look for? What do the programs look for when they are finally ranking?
You're looking at everything. I do look at scores, but the scores not the end all be all. I really like to know, how did the interview go? What was the feeling that the interviewee got from the applicant? Um, what was the feedback that my residents have when they interacted with the applicant when the applicant was not with me? So I like to get that information from those other sources as well, because in reality, what I want from someone during the interview is for them to be themselves. Don't be who you think I want you to be, because I have to know that your personality will mesh with the other 30 personalities I have in the program. And if you're trying to portray, or I have a feeling that you're trying to portray a personality just to fit in, someone's going to see through it, and that's not going to be the person we want to select.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Doctor. This was very, very helpful. I know you're short on time. So, any last minute tips for applicants who are going into the match this season?
As you get ready, I know that people are going to always cast their net very wide in hopes to get the interviews and hopefully the ultimate selection of matching at a location. Um, I'm not saying don't apply wide. I'm saying be selective when you apply wide. Make sure that those programs that you're applying to wide have a historical connection of accepting IMGs, because if it's a program that does not accept IMGs and you applied, I think you just wasted some dollars on a program that you actually had no chance of getting into. Um, I know a lot of people like to send interest letters and emails that they're interested. Um, Never stop doing that. Do not send multiples. Only one is actually truly necessary. And I would say the better route of doing it is, program directors are extremely busy during this time of season. Try to send it to the coordinator first, and ask the coordinator to forward it to the program director. That way that they are not bombarded. Um, and hopefully it will get to them. I know I get a lot of them. I get a lot of those emails, but during that season, I don't necessarily read them all. But if it goes through my coordinator, it's a better chance because I know it's coming from my coordinator versus it's coming from an external source. So send the emails to the coordinators first.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Dr. Stewart. And by the way, I will stay back, guys, to answer your questions. But I do want to stress, if you need didactic sessions with Dr. Stewart, Sejal has posted the links, and we are very delighted and thankful to have you here today, Dr. Stewart. Thank you very much for your tips, and we'll be in touch soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the opportunity. I do wish everyone the very best of luck in this upcoming cycle. Um, You have great mentors with this organization. They're giving you excellent advice. Make sure that you adhere to that advice, and it will definitely increase your odds. And just once again, thank you so much for having me today.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you. I look forward to seeing you again. All
Yes,
right,
definitely.
let's get back to the questions again. If you are looking for sessions with Dr. Stewart, Sejal, can you post the link and then we can move on and answer other questions? I think students are asking, so if you can post it. The other exciting news that I have is we are offering free strategy sessions, 15 minutes with even a former program director in internal medicine if you were to enroll in our turbo plan or gold plan. So Sejal, if you can put yours or Sonia's information. So those of you who are interested in having a free session with a former program director as part of our turbo plan, as part of our gold plan, you can consider enrolling. This offer is valid for the next, I think, week or so. Anyone who enrolls can get that session with program director. And of course, if you need a strategy session with Dr. Stewart, that's also available. So you can take a look at that as well. What else? Let me, go over some of the other announcements. And those of you who are still looking for research, we do have a couple of research options with LOR. So take a look, and maybe Sejal, you can send that. The link, the strategy session is not with Dr. Stewart, that is with Dr. Rua Altarifi, former program director with Beaumont. And we'll create a link, but Sejal will send it out to you. I just wanted to let you know that we've just finalized it today, like 15 minutes ago. And that will be live very soon. All of you will get a link. And Dr. Stewart does the strategy, does the didactic session, so you can take a look. The other, of course, and maybe Sejal, you can share a link or something, maybe it's a screen share. Somehow my mouse is not working, so uh, I'll see if I can share a link. But let me also answer the questions. Can I apply to multiple specialty? Yes, you can apply to multiple specialties, especially IM, FM. If it is primary care focused, just make sure that the LORs are specific to the specialty. Otherwise, it becomes a big problem, if you are using IM LOR for FM and vice versa. There are a lot of rotations that you can still do this month, either tele or on site, and that can give you LOR. Uh, so Sejal, if you can do that link also, the uh, link to our rotations which are available, link to didactic sessions. I think a lot of students are asking. Can I use cardiology LOR for IM? Absolutely. It is, an IM subspecialty. You can use it. Uh, can I apply for IM, FM, and emergency medicine? Now that gets tricky. Emergency medicine is a very different specialty compared to some of the primary care experiences. And remember, you have only 10 experiences in ERAS you can play with. That is where the issue comes. How are you going to fit all the 10 experiences in 3 different specialties in the ERAS CV? Can I start residency in a particular specialty and change later on without completing the former? It's going to be very, very hard. A lot of students have tried it. My own students moved from IM to neurology, things like that. The trick is, yes, you can do it after PG1, but your own program director has to be on board with these things. So it's very hard. Can critical care LOR work for IM? Yes, it can. Can I use IM personal statement for FM? Like I said, it's going to be a challenge, especially if it's a very personalized IM LOR. Using it for FM may not be easy. So just take a look at that. What else? Let me answer. Is failing step 1 on the first try but passing it on a second attempt reduce my chances? It depends on the specialty and your CK score, a lot of other things, the step 3 scores, USCE, research, etc. So I think it depends, and we are happy to look at your CV. Is low step 1 score still considered a red flag? Like Dr. Stewart said, not for his program. It's something that maybe some IM programs may still consider. Gap due to sitting at home, studying, it's a gap, right? Good score depends on the specialty. If you're sitting at home more than 1 year doing nothing, internal medicine less than 250 is something debatable. Can I apply to IM with neuro LORs? Very hard to do. How's 238 CK score according to your expertise? Depends on the specialty. It's an average score for a visa seeking IMG in IM. And Zhao is asking, I've asked my question 3 times. I'm sorry. There are so many questions floating around. So just put the question again. Can I use surgery LOR for FM? It depends on the content of the LOR. If it's related to pre-ops, post-op, counseling, etc., probably, but otherwise I won't need it. Does neuro need higher scores than IM? No, neuro does not need higher scores than IM. Probably the scores are similar, but neuro will need research. What is the difference between J1 visa sponsored by ECFMG and J1 sponsored by program? A program cannot sponsor J1. It only can be sponsored by ECFMG. Chances of match with emergency medicine for an older graduate, very low. Emergency medicine is still a very AMG preferred specialty. What is the impact of research and publications done in home country? If you have it, list it here. With a month to go, not much can change. But like I said, US research always will be very, very useful if you can do it. Can a 225 match into IM? Yes, of course, you can match into IM. We had a 214 match into IM. It also depends on other factors. Like I said, score by itself here is not the only criteria. OBGYN competition for a non-US IMG, very, very competitive, high scores, US research, and a recent graduation can help. Would moonlighting in home country be considered a gap year? Moonlighting would mean you're still working clinically, so I don't know what the question is. Chances of matching in OB-GYN after PG in the home country with good scores being US IMG. Yeah, you can probably try. New York programs will give you some interviews, but research will be important for OB-GYN. Yeah. Professional membership impactful on ERAS CV. If you're just a membership, anyone can get a paid membership. It's not that important. How inpatient 3 USCs for IM, non-US IMGs? So yes, inpatient experiences are good for internal medicine. All right, I think we are running out of time. We will have more of these sessions. Like I said, if you are interested in strategy session with a former PD, Sejal is going to send an email later today, maybe for all of you. For our turbo plans, gold plans, if you are interested in didactic sessions with Dr. Stewart, that link is already there. They will send it. And if there's any other questions, email us. We will get to it. I got 100+ questions here. I'm sorry. We couldn't take all of them, but we will be in touch. You can always email us the questions, contact, CONTACT, contact at usmlesarthi.com. But don't worry, we are planning another webinar very, very soon, maybe next week. So good luck to all of you, and we will be in touch very soon. Thank you all.
Thank you so much for watching. We hope that video provided valuable insights for your journey. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Instagram and Twitter. And check out our website for details on how we can guide you to a successful match.